traditional Korean houses. The graceful costumes of Korean women and the subtle tones of the kayagum represent the grace and elegance. Traditional Korean houses. The graceful costumes of Korean women and the subtle tones of the kayagum represent the grace and elegance of the Korean people. Since ancient times, Koreans regarded the tiger as a symbol of justice and strength. So they picked a charming tiger with a little farmer's hat on as the mascot for the 1988 Summer Olympics.
reviendra à la ville de Séoul.
Seoul is the capital of Korea and the heart of the Korean peninsula. Though the area of Seoul, 627 square kilometers, is only 0.6% of the country's whole territory, it has a population of more than 9 million, or 20% of all Korean people. Seoul is not only the center of government, culture, economy, and information, but also the centripetal point of spirit for the Korean people. It is a vibrant metropolis, constantly moving around the clock. When morning dawns, the Seoulites prepare for the day. The Seoulites are proud people, and they make the proud city moving. They have have rebuilt the city from the rubble of the Korean War, which the North was striving to make another leap forward to further develop the city and the country. As the country became one of the centers of world attention, Seoul has become a meeting place of East and West. The Gimpo International Airport in the western part of Seoul is the gateway to Korea. Major flag carriers of the world bring over 1 million tourists to Korea annually. The old fortress walls, extending 17 kilometers around Seoul, testify to the 600-year history of the capital. Seoul became the nation's capital in 1394, close to 600 years ago. It was around the time when the Renaissance started in the West, and a century before Christopher Columbus set out for the American continent. Well-preserved relics of the past scattered about in Seoul are precious. The Toksu Palace, the palace located right in the who stroll in the compound when they find time. The Cheongdeok Palace is where the Yi Dynasty kings used to reside. The king sat in the throne, and the civil and military officials standing before him received the royal commands. In the north of this palace compound is the secret garden. Palaces in Seoul. The gorgeous and stately palace was first built in the 14th century. The Cheongmyo Shrine preserves the tablets dedicated to the Yi Dynasty kings and queens. A grand Cheongmyo rite is observed on the first Sunday of May every year. By staging the Confucianist rite of the old royal court, the Korean people want to esteem and preserve the old and develop the new. South Gate in Seoul has been designated a national treasure by the government. Now standing in the center of Seoul, it used to be the southern gateway to the city. Is a monument built to celebrate the establishment of the Daehan Empire in the 19th century. Pagoda Park is the place where 33 patriots gathered on March 1st, 1919, and declared the independence of Korea under the Japanese rule. The movement spread nationwide at the time. Near the southern bank of the Han River in Seoul is the National Cemetery. Brave soldiers and patriots who sacrificed their lives for independence and freedom are buried here. The eaves of Korean-style houses are bent upward. The patterns painted in red and blue are often referred to as the Korean arabesque. Seoul, indeed, is a city of old and new. Age-old structures coexist in harmony with modern buildings. The National Museum in the Gyeongbok Palace compound displays some 70,000 pieces of historic relics. The simple yet graceful white porcelains of the Yi dynasty and Koryo celadons with subtle colors and graceful curves are appreciated as the essence of ceramic art. Also displayed are Buddha statues of old Shilla and Koryo eras and prehistoric relics. On display is a product of the wisdom and dexterity of Korean ancestors. The genre painting and landscape painting that attained the highest refinement in the latter part of the Yi dynasty are the works of art reflecting the people's love of nature. The Korean Folklore Museum contains the items which eloquently explain the life and customs of old Korea. Living space, various types of clothes and furniture mirror the peace-loving trait of the Korean people. Koreans still treasure the old lifestyle even in the midst of modernization. They respect parents, grandparents, and elders. They enjoy old folk games in festive occasions. Soulites live in apartments, Korean-style or Western-style houses, though many still prefer traditional Korean houses. Many citizens follow different paths of worship, as there is no state religion in Korea. Korean Catholics have 200 years of history, while Protestants have 100 years. Islamism was introduced to the country in the 1950s, and the number of Korean Islam is increasing. Korean Buddhism, with some 2,000 years of history, has many worshippers. The Korean National Assembly in Seoul is the year the Assembly opens the regular session and reviews the affairs of the state. Living in Seoul is easy because there are numerous department stores, shopping centers, and traditional markets. The country's native products especially attract many tourists. Among the favorite items are ginseng, amethyst, lacquerware, and pottery. Traditional Korean markets offer not only different products, but are also part of the life of the people. The the city of Seoul is expanding space for a rest or stroll for the benefit of citizens and to beautify the environment. The old palaces, of course, offer space for a leisurely stroll. Many people choose hobbies to enrich their lives. They spend spare time in flower arranging, pottery making, and brush writing. Thanks to the government policy of promoting culture and art, Korean artists are active in their creative works. Twice a year, in spring and autumn, the National Art Exhibit is held at the National Museum of Modern Art in Seoul. Many young artists participate in the exhibition. Works of famed artists are also exhibited the year round at the museum. The Korea House was established to introduce Korean culture and customs to foreign visitors. Everything is Korean in the compound: architecture, furniture, utensils, and food. One can appreciate traditional Korean music, dance, and food at the Korea House. In the garden, foreigners can watch the proceedings of traditional Korean weddings. Universities, including the Seoul National University and 18 colleges. The Seoul Grand Park and the Children's Grand Park are the cradles of the younger generation. Seoul and its vicinity abound with tourist attractions, entertainment, and recreational facilities. Seoul is surrounded by hills and mountains, which form natural windscreens. Young mountain climbers challenge the Insu Peak and Pakwon-dae at Mount Pukhan National Park on the outskirts of Seoul. Some brave, thrilling hang gliding. Namsan, meaning the South Mountain, standing in the heart of Seoul, is another park in the city. One can command a beautiful panoramic view of Seoul atop the Namsan Tower. The number of accommodations is increasing as more and more people come to visit Seoul. At present, Seoul has 53 hotels with 11,500 rooms, but 6,500 rooms will be added soon to be prepared for the 1986 Asian Games and the 1988 Summer Olympics. Other tourist facilities are also being expanded for the promotion of tourism. Seoul at night is quiet and orderly. The National Theater and the Culture and Art Promotion Hall are the center of theatrical art in Seoul, and the Sejong Cultural Center stages performances of different artists. Both archery and taekwondo are Korea's martial arts as well as traditional sports. Taekwondo is being practiced by many people in many countries. In autumn, the National Athletic Meet is held. Also held are various sporting events participated in by college students. The routing of their cheer parties are colorful and impressive. Pro football and pro baseball start out. Or Korean wrestling. Love of sports led to the modernization of sporting facilities, and the country has hosted many international events successfully. Seoul also hosts various international conferences, seminars, and symposia on culture, arts, science, economy, social affairs, and other fields. Also held in Seoul are international trade fairs and international beauty pageants. In 1983, Seoul hosted the 53rd World Travel Congress of the American Society of Travel Agents, whose membership is 18,000 from 128 Union Conference. To be fully prepared for the Asian Games and the Summer Olympic Games in 1986 and 1988 respectively, Seoul is adding various facilities. In the Seoul Sports Complex, an indoor gymnasium, swimming pools, and a baseball field have already been built, and the main stadium with 100,000 seats is under construction with the completion set at 1984. Other large-scale building projects are underway actively, changing the image of Seoul. Seoul's subway system is easing the flow of traffic. Lines for a total length of 39.1 kilometers have already been opened, and all 4 lines with a total length of 115.3 kilometers will be completed by the end of 1984. There are 13 bridges on the Han River connecting the northern and southern parts of Seoul. 3 more will be added by the end of 1984, increasing the total number of bridges to 16. The comprehensive Han River Development Project is vigorously being implemented to develop the river into a clear, blue, and beautiful river. By the end of 1985, sports park on the higher elevations in the river and a 4-lane road along the river will be expanded into 6 to 8 lanes. Wastewater treatment facilities, a water skiing station, a yachting marina, and a rowing station will also be added. The flower of Seoul is forsythia. In early spring, yellow forsythia and other flowers adorn the city. Beauty to the city of contrasts. Green foliage adds vitality to the city in summer. Ginkgo trees ripen in autumn, and colorful maples adorn the city's surrounding mountains under the high blue sky. In winter, snow on the tiled roofs of old palaces makes snowscape an ideal. Seoul, adding different flavor according to the season, make efforts of the people poured on the cultivation of today.